Part 2. A Long Road Begins. In 1971, film producer Arthur P. Jacobs, who was responsible for the Planet of the Apes films, had acquired the film rights to Dune. David Lean, who had directed the film Lawrence of Arabia, was approached to direct Dune, but declined. Screenwriter Robert Bolt, who had also worked on Lawrence of Arabia, was set to write the script. Robert Bolt was eventually replaced by writer Rospo Pallenberg. Filming on Dune was set to begin in 1974 in Turkey on a budget of $15 million, with Charles Jarrett considered as director. Then, on June 27, 1973, Arthur P. Jacobs died of a heart attack. With Dune tied up in his estate, the project was abandoned. Later in 1973, the rights to Dune would be acquired by a group of French film producers. French businessman and film producer Michael Seydoux, along with Chilean film director Alejandro Jodorowsky, would attempt over the next few years to bring Dune to the big screen. Due to the success of Jodorowsky's two previous films, El Topo and The Holy Mountain, Seydoux offered Jodorowsky to fund whatever film he wanted to next, and Jodorowsky chose Dune. Jodorowsky would go on to assemble a team of incredible artists to work on the film. The names would include H.R. Giger, Dan O'Bannon, Chris Foss, and comic book legend Jean Girard, also known as Mobius. Some of the actors that were pursued to be in the film was Mick Jagger as Fade, David Carradine as Duke Leto, Orson Welles as the Baron, and the incredibly eccentric Salvador Dali as the Emperor. Also, Pink Floyd was to produce music for the film as well. Jodorowsky's version of Dune was going to stray greatly from the source material of the book, with Paul turning into a planet and other such things. However, the budget for Dune was starting to inflate. Then, in 1975, Jodorowsky and Seydoux went to Los Angeles to secure the last $5 million they needed to get the film started. However, due to creative differences between Hollywood and Jodorowsky, the plug was pulled. Jodorowsky's Dune was certainly ambitious for its time, and would have been a challenge to pull off. But how would such a film that strayed so far from the source material have been received by general moviegoers and Dune fans? It did, however, produce some beautiful production art, like the one seen here by Chris Foss. Fans of Frank Herbert's work would have to wait for a film adaptation of Dune. They would not have to wait, however, in the literary world. In April of 1976, Frank Herbert published his third Dune novel, Children of Dune. In late 1976, Dino De Laurentiis, an Italian film producer, bought the rights for Dune from the consortium, and as part of the deal, Frank Herbert was brought along as a technical advisor and scriptwriter. By 1978, Dino De Laurentiis had commissioned Frank Herbert to write a script for a possible Dune film, but the resulting script was unusable. Then, in February of 1979, Dino De Laurentiis made a second deal to retain the film rights to Dune, along with Frank Herbert as scriptwriter. Later that year, director Ridley Scott, who had directed the first Alien film, which had just come out that year to much success, was hired by Laurentiis to direct the Dune film, and Rudolph Wurlitzer would also come on board to write the script. Harlan Ellison was also approached by Ridley Scott to write the script, but he turned down the offer. By mid-1980, Ridley Scott's Dune had entered early production at Pinewood Studios in England. German artist H.R. Giger, who was to work on Jodorowsky's Dune, was brought on board to draw and storyboard. Rudolph Wurlitzer would hand in 3 script drafts for Dune to Ridley Scott. The first one was said to have oversimplified the plot. However, I discovered while researching for this video that the third script had what would have been a very controversial twist. I discovered a Dune forum site called Jagaratu, the Castout, with 2 interesting posts that are dated March of 2012 regarding Rudolph Wurlitzer's third draft. The first post reads as follows: "If Ridley Scott were able to pull it off, it would have been really interesting to watch. The only drawback to Scott's directing of Dune was his choice of screenwriter Rudolf Wurlitzer. The screenwriter, Mr. Wurlitzer, decided to have Paul Atreides have sex with his mother and be the father of Alia. Wurlitzer's claim that he wrote it to emphasize Paul's defiance of social norms and taboos as part of Paul's hero Messiah's journey. Reportedly, Frank Herbert was enormously pissed off at the screenplay and argued that Dune fans would never stand to see their favorite characters screwed up like that. I've only been able to know aspects of the screenplay from a PDF archive article, but I really wish that Wurlitzer's screenplay and other screenplays before Lynch's screenplay were available in a Dune screenplay archive site, just out of curiosity to see how the previous screenwriters had trouble adapting Dune. Still, who knows? Ridley Scott might have found a way to make the screenplay work, or maybe he would have taken the Opedial part out and still make a decent movie. I do wonder how he would have pulled off the Baron Harkonnen or the Worms. How would they look like with Ridley Scott's visual style in the early 80s? The reply reads, I hadn't heard that bit about the script with Paul and Jessica, although I read from that part in the book Ridley Scott Close Up, The Making of His Movies by Paul M. Salmon, was that he only got the first draft of Wurlitzer's script before leaving the project. I doubt the incest bit would have made it past that draft, but we'll never know. If true, I would like to think Ridley Scott would have had enough sense to reject Rudolph's completely stupid and pointless incest idea. I have to agree that the idea would have angered Dune fans and turned off general moviegoers at the time. Towards the end of 1980, Ridley Scott would leave the project due to how grief-stricken he was by the loss of his older brother Frank to cancer. Along with the script problems and the budget climbing to $50 million, production on the film was shut down. Ridley Scott has directed some of my favorite sci-fi films, like Alien and Blade Runner. Another favorite of mine, but not sci-fi, is 2000's Gladiator, starring Russell Crowe. I've speculated much to myself how a Ridley Scott Dune film would have been received. Would it have been a flop? If it was a success, how would that have altered film history? All one can do is speculate at what could have been. While Dune was locked up in development hell, in 1979, Dune fans would also get a chance to battle each other over the control of Arrakis with the release of the Avalon Hill Dune board game. Not only that, Frank Herbert would publish his fourth Dune novel, God Emperor of Dune, published on May 28, 1981. In 1983, heavy metal rock band Iron Maiden would release the album Peace of Mind. It would feature the song To Tame a Land, a song written about Dune. Songwriter Steve Harris wanted to call the song Dune, but was refused by Frank Herbert, as he hated rock bands, and really hated heavy metal rock bands. Dune was proving to be a stubborn project to get off the ground. However, Dino De Laurentiis was not about to throw in the towel yet. Thank you to all of my subscribers, and thank you for watching this video. And if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for notification when new videos are uploaded.